Okay, so what we're working with today is graphing absolute value functions. When we graph absolute value functions, we're going to go through transformations. Transformations are things where they slide left, right, up, or down, and then they're either going to reflect, which is a flip, or they're going to get skinny or shorter, which is a stretch and a shrink. Okay, so the parent graph of an absolute value is y equals the absolute value of x. And the absolute value function is the shape of a V. Okay, so let's kind of make a table to see what happens. So y equals the absolute value of x. And I'm going to start with x values, and I'm going to plug in 0. So the absolute value of 0 is still just 0. So my first point is 0, 0. And then if I plug in a 1, the absolute value of 1 is also a 1, so that's 1, 1. And then I'll do one more on the right, 2, and the absolute value of 2 is still 2. So it's 2, 2. Okay? What happens that makes this different than a line is what happens on the left. So if I plug in a negative 1, the absolute value of negative 1 is a positive 1. So I'm to the left 1, up 1. And then let's try a negative 2. The absolute value of negative 2 is a positive 2. So this is why it becomes a V, is because absolute value is positive. And so this is what the graph looks like. It's a V. Okay. We are going to focus on vertex form. Before we do that, let's go ahead and find the domain and range. So this graph, the arrows point to the left and the right. So that means they will cover every single number on the left and every single number on the right. So that domain is all reals. The range, however, these arrows only go up. And so we have to know that they go up above the lowest point. And the lowest point for that y value there is 0. So this is y is greater than or equal to 0 because all the y values are above 0. So vertex form is what we'll use, and it's ax minus h plus k. So the a value is going to do a couple things. It's going to tell you if it's a flip. So if it's a negative, it's going to go upside down. It also tells you the slope. And so this one had a 1 in front of it, and so the slope was up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. All right, the h is a horizontal shift. So this tells me to go left or right. And there's a special trick about the h. Because there's a minus right here, that means that the h is always going to be the opposite of what it says. And when we do some, we'll see. The k value on the outside is a vertical shift. So this tells you to go up or down. And it's not the opposite because it's a plus k. So we'll see what happens there. The vertex is where you go left or right, and then how many you go up or down. So the vertex is found at h comma k. All right, so we're going to do a couple of these problems. It may seem very confusing right now, but after you do some, it'll make more sense. Okay, so what happens? So each number that's not the x and not the y does something. So this first number is the slope. So that slope gets flatter because it's, instead of going up 1 over 1, it's up 1 over 2. And when something gets flatter, that's called a shrink. And then this number out here tells me that it's going to go up 1. So my slope is 1/2. I don't go left or right any, so it's 0, and I go up 1. So 0, 1. And now I'm going to go up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. And then I have to do the same thing on the left because it has to make a V. So I'm going to go up 1 to the left 2, up 1 to the left 2, and up 1 to the left 2. And that made my V. Oops. Okay, so my domain is still all reals because arrows go to the left and arrows go to the right. This one, y is greater, but what's it greater than? What's the lowest point it's at, and then what do all the points go above? That's right, 1. So y is greater than or equal to negative, or to 1. All right, what happens here? Here's the first number. It's inside with the x, so that means it goes left or right. But remember what we said, it's opposite. So instead of going to the right 3, this is going to go to the left 3. And this number down here is going to make me go down 2. So my vertex is negative 3, comma 2. My slope is the number in front, which is just a 1 over 1. So I'm going to go to the left 3, up 2, and then I'm going to go up 1 over 1. And remember, it's a V, so I have to do it on the right and the left. My domain, again, arrows go to the left, arrows go to the right, so it's all reals. The range, this also goes up, so y is greater than, and it goes up above 2. It's always that value from the vertex. Okay, so I would like you to try 1 and 2. When you think you have it, go ahead and press 3. Press play. Okay, so describe. So this is the only number I have, so that's the only thing I have to work with, so it's going to the left 2. So that's negative 2, comma 0. My slope is just up 1 over 1. And there's my V. My arrows go left and right, so again, my domain is all reals. And my range for this one, it goes up, and it goes up above 0. Okay, the next one, I have a negative 3. Ooh, this is a flip. So we'll have to see what happens with that. So my slope is negative 3 over 1, and then it goes up 4. So we're going to say flip and up 4. So nothing happens with the x, nothing's inside, so this is just 0, and then up 4. And then now I have to go down 3 over 1. So down 1, 2, 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3 over 1. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Down 1, 2, 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3 over 1. And so it made a skinnier graph. And so that's a stretch. And I'm okay if you don't remember the word stretch and shrink. They do get a little confusing. Okay? But I do want you to know that the first number represents slope. All right, I'd like you to try 3 and 4 on your own, and when you think you're ready, go ahead and press play. Okay, so a negative 1 with the x tells me it goes to the right 1, and then it goes down 3, and my slope is 1 over 1 because there's a 1 in front, and my vertex is 1, negative 3. So 1, negative 3, and then up 1 over 1. There's your V. My domain, again, is all reals because arrows go to the left and right. This one, my range, it goes above, and it goes above negative 3. All right, the next one, you should have said it was a flip, and it went to the left 2 because it's the opposite of parentheses, and it goes up 1. So my vertex is negative 2, 1. My slope is negative 1 over 1. So negative 2, 1. And I'm going to go down 1 over 1. And I'm going to go down 1 over 1 the other way too. And there's my absolute value. There's my graph. My domain, my arrows are going to the left and right, so it's all reals again. And my range, this time it's going down, so y is less than. And it's less than the y value, which is 1. So y is less than or equal to 1. All right, the last thing we have to do is be able to write equations. Okay, so right 2 would tell me it goes inside with the x, and since it's a right 2, it's the opposite. It's minus 2. And then a down 3 goes on the outside. For number 6, a slope of 1/2 goes in front of the absolute value, and it says left 3, so it's going to go to the plus 3 because remember it's the opposite of parentheses. All right, I'd like you to try 7 and 8, and then we're going to be done with notes. Check it off. All right, so you should have said it was a slope of 4. Right 4 goes inside the parentheses, and it's the opposite, and then up 6. And then for 8, it's a -1. Left 4 would mean it's a +4 in parentheses, and then down 2. And that's it. So remember, the number in front tells you whether it's a flip, and it tells you the slope. The number inside tells you left and right, and remember it's always opposite. And then the number on the outside is what controls you going up and down.